So while we're here, I've actually got quite a few questions that have been coming through, and a lot of them have been repeated. So I thought we'd sorry, I do have a cold as well. Have everyone else got this cold? I got my jab from the COVID and I got my jab from the flu, and I still got a bug. I'm not happy about it at all. Anyway, germination. Now, the greenhouse is still quite nice and humid. If you're having any problems with your germination, do check to make sure that you haven't got any trees that have over the years starting to cast a shadow. You can see how bright it is in my greenhouse. We had the problem over in this corner here, and Neil just cut down, I think it was a pyracanthus. He just trimmed it down and then all the light returned to the corner. So check your light, check your watering, because if your seed trays are too dry, the seeds can't germinate. And if you've overwatered them, the seeds might have rotted. So if you've got any problems with your germination, I would sow one more seed to the cell, because it's guaranteed that as soon as you do that, the original will come up. That's just sod's law, isn't it? And if there are seeds that like a warm germination period, you could take them into the house for a couple of days. Put a propagator lid over the top as well, because we are starting to lose some of the humidity. So during the day is fine, but at night time, if you've got seeds not germinating, pop a lid over them in the greenhouse, or if you're taking them indoors, definitely put a lid over them, because the atmosphere indoors is really dry. If it's something like larkspur, for example, then they really need to stay out in the greenhouse, but we have got ages before they germinate. Sweet peas, just be careful, the compost has been really dry, and you might find that particular sweet pea is in a dry bit of compost, so just make sure it's moist enough. There's a couple I've had, and when I've tipped the pot out, actually it was coming. So sometimes they take longer than others, so just be patient. And then while we're talking about sowing our sweet peas, we've had a few sowing accidents where you haven't put them in the 9cm pots, so let's just quickly cover that. So if you sowed them into 15 cell trays, move them to pots as soon as you can. You can wait for them to come up and establish a little bit to make it easier. Move them to 9cm pots. Got a few instances where people have sown 4 or 5 seeds to a 9cm pot. So all you need to do is leave them to grow on in the 9cm pot, and then late winter, December, January time, just pop them on into a 1 litre container, and then make sure that you space them 30 plus centimetres apart so that they've got a bit more space, and then they should be absolutely fine. The final question for today is that I've been asked quite a lot about using recycled plastic containers for your seedlings. Of course you can, however, just bear in mind that plastic pots, this pot is 20 years old, look. You can still see the price, £1.59, and that was for a perennial cottage garden plant. So you can see how old this pot is, they do last. And the way that they're made is if you put them on the shelf, and even if they're on the floor and the drainage holes are covered, they're still elevated drainage holes all the way around, so your plant won't get waterlogged. If you take a simple plastic container and just drill holes and then put that down, those drainage holes could easily get covered and your plant could end up being waterlogged. Another one that I was asked about are tins. Now, I do keep these, but I use them as vases. I don't put my seedlings in, because even if you put some drainage holes in them, just imagine how cold they're going to get in midwinter, and you don't want your roots freezing.